All right. Happy birthday, brother.
Let's take a little cheers to that.
Yeah, happy New Year's as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
God, that's terrible.
Speaking of birthdays and Christmas and New Year's, I hope everybody has their resolutions picked out. I hope everybody had a great Christmas. And like Trey said, today is my birthday. It's my 24th birthday. With that being said, all I want from y'all is for y'all to like, subscribe, comment, and just keep the numbers going. Doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't do anything to you. Like I said last episode, just brings more awareness to people who don't know what the podcast is yet. So it would be greatly appreciated, and thank you.
Yeah, throw it in family group chats. Throw it in your, Snapchat GMs, whatever you got to do. But, man, one more year left of that frontal lobe developing. How you feeling?
I don't think it ever will. I'm 24, and I feel like I'm 14 sometimes, and then other times I feel like I'm 34. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, mine's behind, too. But, I mean, there's one thing that we know our brains developed is, or we think, our knowledge of college football.
Shit, I hope so.
Stop
That's
beating
why we're
around the
doing this
bush.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Those people that come and make podcast equipment more expensive, I'm starting to really feel it, man. I don't think I know what I'm talking about.
No. I mean, especially after our playoff predictions. You know what? All right. Everyone in here can keep a secret, can't we?
Yeah.
I may have done a little sabotaging there with my Georgia and Bama take and my Twitter prominence of saying that they will both be in the national championship game because due to how bad of a predictor and gambler and overall just predicting anything in college sports this year I've been, it paid off in the long run. So a great hate watch yesterday for all Auburn fans with Georgia and Bama losing, and I'm very happy.
Yeah, if there's one thing any of the people who tune into the podcast should have learned by now is if Trey says something, just do the exact opposite. You could become a millionaire based off taking his picks and hedging them.
Ouch. But, I mean, you're not wrong, man. I mean, it has been a very humbling year. My college football playoff semifinal, I think I only have one team, and it's Oregon, and that was purely Stein bias. And, I mean, that if we were going to go and look back at all the games, might as well start with that Oregon-Texas Tech game since it was the, I guess, least notable CFP quarterfinal game. Snoozer, I kind of took a nap during it, right hand up. I mean, wasn't the most thrilling game. Texas Tech, very underwhelming.
Yeah, you didn't really miss much. Based off what I saw, they just did not come as well, prepared as Oregon did. And I think Dan Lanning proved that he's a better coach. Dante Moore played a great game. One of their corners had 2 picks. I forget his name. I know he's a freshman. That's going to be a name to watch going forward for the next couple seasons. And they just all around played a way better game than Texas Tech did. I'm not going to say I'm surprised. I mean, I know Texas Tech was my pick on that side of the bracket to go to the national championship, but, I mean, you never know with games like this. It's hard to get a feel. And based off this year, it seems like the teams that did not get a first-round bye have played exceptionally better, with the exception of Indiana beating the hell out of Alabama. So
crazy stuff.
yeah.
I mean, shout out to my guy Poppy McCutcheon and Texas Tech, though. Great season.
Absolutely.
I mean, very underwhelming for the Big 12. And we're watching, as we speak, Cincinnati get dog-walked by our troops. So that's also a bad knock there in the Big 12. I mean, you can't be speaking much as an SEC fan. Really been a disappointing bowl season. With that being said, dude, what happened in Pasadena? I am shell-shocked.
I liked Signetti's quote before the game. They asked him, a reporter was like, so do you think your guys are kind of disturbed by the mystique of Alabama and like just the notoriety of the program? And he just simply said, y'all know more about the mystique than they do. They just know what's on film. And they went out there and showed that. They proved exactly what he said in that pregame interview. And, I mean, from start to finish, they beat the hell out of him. Mendoza showed why he was the Heisman winner. And, I mean, just once again, they proved everybody wrong. And it was I guess as a non-SEC college football fan, it was exciting to watch, but part of me was also kind of sad just because I feel like this is kind of the downfall of Alabama and the run that they've had over the last 20 years. Just as far as, the Saban era has officially come to an end after this absolute annihilation that Indiana put on them.
Yeah, it's definitely the falling of a dynasty, and man, it is truly, I still can't get over what I saw yesterday. Indiana bullied Alabama for 4 straight quarters. It was legit parallel to what the Saban-era teams used to do to people in the college football playoff. Like, how many times did you see Bama give it to Notre Dame, Clemson, all these blue blood schools, and now seeing Alabama be the recipient of it? It really makes you wonder, is like, what's this Alabama fan base and I guess the administration over there? What does the Kalen Deboer era go from here?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to live up to the expectations that, Saban left them with. I mean, I don't know if there will ever be another Nick Saban in college football just because of the NIL and everything. But with that being said, it was just a total embarrassment from start to finish. And Signetti and those guys, man, he knows exactly what he's doing. And I think just based off, just straight camaraderie and locker room and culture, I think those guys have the best camaraderie and just like the sense of togetherness more than any other college football team, which I feel like is really hard to find in today's day and age, just with the NIL and stuff. Guys are thinking about themselves more than ever, and it seems like Signetti and, his staff and those players are all just completely bought in on the same goal, and it's been really special to watch as a fan.
It's mind-blowing because, yes, all those attributes about Indiana that you alluded to are true, but they're also very, very good. And I've been so hesitant I picked against them every game that we've had this podcast, from Ohio State to obviously the Alabama game. I was a sucker for the whole Mystique thing because I've grown up, having Auburn blood and then just seeing year after year Bama find ways and somehow, some way end up in the national championship game because they are Alabama. And I do believe the Mystique has something to do with it when you see the crimson helmet, but clearly it was not the Crimson Tide. It was the Crimson that had the I and the U on it. And they won in the trenches. They clearly had way better quarterback play. I mean, Ty Simpson looked like a fish out of water.
Yeah, and I feel like he's had games like that this year, but I don't know if he was scared of the moment or they just didn't prepare him, to go out there and perform like he needed to. But, I mean, just from the get-go, you could tell they just were not as prepared and not as willing to go out there and play for their coach and their university as Indiana was.
I compare what Alabama's going to go through this offseason to a Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina losing to a 15 seed when you're the 2 seed. Obviously, it's not the same considering they were underdogs, but in terms of just the backlash and all the stuff they're going to have to deal with, because, I mean, this is a fan base where they crave for a larger-than-life personality to be their leader. They had that in Saban. Obviously, the lore of Paul Bear and Gene Stallings is there. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, you got a guy like Signetti. He's larger than life, and he's on the other sideline. I don't know if Kalen Deboer is that guy who can handle something like this. Because, by the way, and this is my hottest take of the episode. I'm going to go ahead and rip it off right away.
Okay.
Deboer is a great football coach. I'm sure you agree, no?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
He would kill it at a school like he did at Washington or even a school like Michigan.
So are you saying that he doesn't belong in Alabama?
I do not think the Kalen Deboer era at Alabama will last longer than another year. I think next year will be the last year of the Kalen Deboer era. And yesterday was telling.
I think it's hard to argue the fact that, you go to the playoff and say he goes again next year and they lose in their first round game. I mean, you can't fire that guy, in my opinion, especially not in today's age. With Signetti being an exception, like he's in year 2 and he's probably going to go to the national championship, made the playoffs in year 1, but I just feel like you're not going to get that. That's a diamond in the rough. That's an anomaly in today's day and age. I mean, especially just with all the changes, like you can have a complete roster turnover, and then, if you go back to the playoff with just a different group of guys, that's just hard to come by. You know what I mean? So I feel like he'll last more than a year. I mean, not to mention the fact that he had the best first-year record of any Alabama coach. Saban didn't even win 9 games like he did.
I mean, sure, but let's look at this, right? When Saban inherited Alabama, he was inheriting a program that lost to Auburn 5-6 straight games in a row.
Yeah.
They were very, 6-6, 7-5, hovering around that area. Kalen Deboer inherited a Fortune 500 company. He inherited Apple, Google. And now they're down to... But what would you compare Alabama now as a corporation?
I don't know.
Fry Fest?
Sears went bankrupt. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Or excuse me. Okay. Well, speaking of SEC, we can talk about this Georgia Ole Miss game.
Yes,
that was the best game to watch of the quarterfinals. And to be quite frank, I was kind of thinking Ole Miss just didn't even have a shot. I forgot the fact that they played Georgia close earlier in the year, but. Obviously Lane Kiffin was their coach. Trinidad Chambliss is legit. I think Pete Golding is a legitimate coach, and he deserves his flowers. And just one more thing to add, since we're talking about Alabama and Saban, all 4 of the coaches left in the playoff are all part of the Saban tree, and I think that is fascinating. And that speaks volumes about Nick Saban's legacy and the legacy that he left on the sport that we all love.
All right. right. That's enough Saban Bama glazing. Let's get on to
Talk about the game,
I
though.
mean, sure. Kirby Smart and Georgia have become that new Alabama, and I think everyone in the country has been kind of right. Like, I think it's a torn. Like, what I'm curious to hear your opinion. I think Indiana and Ole Miss are the two America sweethearts. I sort of lean towards Ole Miss more because I think their story's more appealing.
I do too, personally. I mean, the Indiana story is kind of like just the ultimate underdog, just feel good story. But as far as like feeling bad for a program or just like bad terms, nobody's better at that than Kiffin. Like, he left UT overnight, didn't tell anybody. He said he wasn't going to do that to Ole Miss, and he didn't. He did it a little bit more respectfully, but at the end of the day, he still walked out the door and never came back with the milk. So with that being said, I have to agree with you. I tend to agree with you on the Ole Miss take. They're a special team, and I think it's cool that, all the other people on the coaching staff stayed, and they're all in that together. And like I said about camaraderie and locker room stuff like that, those guys are exactly in the same boat as Indiana, and it's been impressive to watch them compete. And the fact they beat Georgia, I just honestly didn't even think they had a chance, and they pulled it out.
Yeah, and I compared this Ole Miss Kiffin dilemma to, let's say, like a relationship. Everyone cheers for the nicer person in the breakup, I guess you will. And Kiffin's definitely the villain in this. So obviously everyone's going to lean Ole Miss's side to rebound and, I guess, elevate from their previous situationship. So I love the Ole Miss story. What we witnessed yesterday, I think, was the game of the year. I mean, that kicker for Ole Miss is nails.
Shout out Tops. He was previously a Western Kentucky Hilltopper before he's an Ole Miss Rebel. Let's go Tops. I think his name's Lucas Carinara or something like that. Great job. You were the reason they won the game, and it's I'm glad that you're a Hilltop alumni as I am.
Pretty anticlimactic ending though, with the whole they were muffing around.
Yeah.
It was just such a weird way to end a football game.
Yeah, man. I don't. That was a really fun game to watch though, and I'm excited to see them play Miami going forward. We haven't even got to the Miami game. We can speak on that here in a second.
Yeah.
But I think that it's really cool that those two teams, nobody even really legitimately took serious from the get-go. And, that's just the magic of this sport. And just, I don't know. I'm just excited to see the semifinal come to fruition. I know both of our predictions were completely wrong. However, it's just, if you're a fan of the sport, then it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Who you want to win. You just enjoy watching good sports, and that's exactly what we've gotten out of the majority of these playoff games.
Yeah, I would say this playoff compared to last year has been night and day. I know there's a lot better games this time around. Like, what was the best game last year? Notre Dame, Penn State?
Yeah, probably. Something like that. The SMU Penn State game was horrible. Boise didn't even stand a chance with Oregon. Yeah, probably that one.
So, I mean, people have been bashing this whole 12-team playoff situation. I mean, besides the G5 debacles, I mean, it's been great football to watch. I even thought, and we're going to talk about Miami, the A&M Miami game was a good game despite it being low scoring. And once again, credit to you. You've been high on Miami this entire time. I think I'm just a little pessimistic when it comes to Carson Beck. He broke my heart a couple times between Kentucky and Auburn. He's just also kind of he's like, I compare him to he's like a college football version of a Duke white guy in basketball where it's like, I really don't want to cheer for this guy. He's like a Singler of Shire, Reddick type of guy.
I was actually talking to my older brother about this. Shout out Cash. He played collegiate football. He knows ball. But with that being said, I was talking to him on the phone about the Miami and Ohio State game, and my prediction to him before the game was Miami's got the best D-line in the country, hands down. Like, they've got Reuben Bain, they've got that other guy on the inside. Like, they get after the front line, and they don't give the quarterbacks any time to throw the ball. Julian Sand being a freshman quarterback, I had a feeling he was going to get rattled in the first half, and Ohio State was maybe going to come out with a different game plan in the second half. But, I mean, they just didn't have an answer for that defense. And just back to your point about Carson Beck, my brother and I were talking. I mean, he's been to the dance before, man. This isn't his first rodeo. He got coached under the best mind in the sport in Kirby Smart. He knows what he's doing. And Mario Cristobal has those guys rolling down there in Miami. And, I mean, I don't see why they couldn't do it. I just talked about their D-line. It's amazing. They've got an experienced quarterback. They've got probably the best freshman receiver in the country, Malachi Toney, not to mention Mark Fletcher, who's a great running back. Those two guys played together in high school. I know that team has great chemistry. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up beating Ole Miss and going to the championship.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and look forward, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
what we saw yesterday. I mean, all the talking heads made their points. I mean, we made our points, obviously.
Yeah.
What happened in Pasadena, I feel like, has been, you'd say that's the main takeaway, right? Like, Georgia, Ole Miss was a great game, but that is when we look back on this season, that may be the biggest talking point is Indiana boat ran Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know,
just wanted to say that one more time just to emphasize Indiana boat ran Alabama. It was such a fun hate watch.
Auburn
It
guy.
was such a fun hate watch, dude. Hey, man, Auburn fans needed that, man. Like, Cam Coleman's about to go to Texas. Lost our entire roster. Deuce Knight's about to go to Boston College.
Well, you know, we'll get into transfer portal stuff later on, and I feel pretty confident about how y'all are going to do in the portal. But just back to the playoffs.
So sorry to get sidetracked there for a second. I just had to emphasize one more time that Bama got boat raced. But yes, let's go to Glendale, Ole Miss.
Start us off.
Miami. Very odd game because, one, I don't think anyone imagined looking down the road that you wouldn't see Ohio State playing in the Fiesta Bowl. And two, I think it's going to be a complete Ole Miss home game. This is the biggest game in Ole Miss football history, and the fact that Miami has 3 fans, it's going to be filled with powder blue. They're all going to travel. I mean, this is it for Ole Miss, right? Like, I don't see the Golding thing having this level of success long term. So this season now it's wide open, so it's make or break for them. I think Ole Miss gets the job done and goes to the national championship game and continues their Cinderella run.
Yeah, I mean, technically he is undefeated as a coach. He's got 2 playoff wins under his belt already. I've always been a fan of Pete Golding, even when he was the DC at Bama. He knows how to coach. He's been around great coaching, and I think he's going to get those guys prepared. Not to mention the feel-good story and the camaraderie that we talked about earlier about, you know, them just all playing for each other and whatnot. However, I think they're going to have the same problem that every other team has had when they play Miami in that front 7. Reuben Bain's going to get after him. Granted, Chambliss is a little bit faster quarterback, so I think he's going to be able to extend plays, and I think it'll be ultimately a very close game. But I think Malachi Toney, a.k.a. Baby Jesus, Mark Fletcher running the ball, Carson Beck with the experience. He's been and played in these games before. I think Miami's going to get it done regardless of home field advantage for Ole Miss. And I think the Hurricanes are going to move on to the national championship and represent the ACC well.
Just thinking about this game for some reason makes me laugh. Like, this is like a combination of cultures coming together.
Bro, nobody would have thought that these 2 teams were playing in the semifinal when the playoff bracket first came out,
of course
in my
not.
opinion.
But
everybody had already kind of wrote off Ole Miss, and nobody even really took Miami seriously. So I'm glad that these 2 teams, out of all the teams on this side of the bracket, have made it to this point, just because it brings so much more notoriety to the sport and just so much more, you know, sense of unknowing what's going to happen, and it's just so exciting, in my opinion.
Yeah. Are you a little bit upset, though, we didn't get the Carson Beck versus Georgia matchup? Deep down, I'm kind of like, I'd live for storylines, and that would have been awesome.
You know, that would have been a great storyline. I'm not going to sit here and act like it wouldn't have. However, I think it's funny that he ultimately got the last laugh when that fan base has joked about him since he hit the portal and just giving him such a hard time. And, you know, I don't know. But I do like this game. I think this game will be a better game than the Indiana-Oregon game, and I'm excited to watch that game.
Yeah, and Chris Fowler made a good point in the Bama-Indiana broadcast because they had to do the old, like, let's have some side combos because this game got that off the rails.
Yeah.
And he said the same things. I don't understand the hate that Georgia fans have for Carson Beck. It was sort of a mutual, hey, we got this guy. He's now our guy. Like, we assume you're going to go to the league. He wanted to come back, and it obviously wasn't welcome back. So I think it's a little harsh from Georgia fans. And yesterday it couldn't have happened to I love Athens, as we know, but a worse fan base than Georgia. So
yeah,
and Alabama. Hope you guys are having a happy New Year's. But besides the fact, let's go to I believe this game actually, speaking of Miami, is in Miami.
Indiana, Oregon.
Yes.
Indiana, Oregon. I mean, look, dude, I'm going to keep this short and sweet.
Or no, it's not. The national title's in Miami. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm going to keep this short and sweet for everybody listening. Everybody has been writing the Hoosiers off since the get-go. Time and time again, they prove themselves wrong. I think Dan Lanning is an outstanding coach, and they have an outstanding program. Will Stein's a great OC, and he's going to be a great head coach. But those guys are locked in. You can tell from the top to the bottom. I guarantee you, from the head coach to the equipment staffers, everybody's doing their job at 110% in Bloomington, and I feel very comfortable saying that the Hoosiers will be playing in the national championship.
It's funny you mentioned that. Like, I feel like Signetti's the type of guy just to chew out a manager.
He might be.
I love it though. Think about the great Coach K would chew out like student journalists like Saban. Golly, I'd be terrified of him if I was a manager. So those are the guys that are the most successful. But yes, I agree with you. I'm no longer gonna beat around the bush. The whole Indiana, mystique on the opposite end of it, like, oh, this basketball school, this is cute and all. It's about it. No, they're legit. This is a real football team. I saw what happened in Pasadena. I saw what happened in Indianapolis. This is a national championship football team.
That was funny you said basketball school. I remember when y'all beat Indiana in that basketball game, UK beat Indiana in that basketball game a couple weeks ago, and on Twitter it was just like, I don't give a damn. We're number one in the country in football. Who gives a shit if y'all beat us in basketball? And I was like, that's crazy.
Exactly.
That's so crazy to just even say that statement that y'all are number one, that the Hoosiers are number one in football.
Indiana fans have the biggest reverse Uno card of all time. It's kind of what Auburn fans have been doing in basketball a little bit. It's like, yeah, we've sucked at our sport, but guess what? Like, we're now better than you at yours. And that's what Indiana, shoot. They are, that has to be, if they win the national title, is that the most random national champion in college football history?
Yeah, and I think it's also just like the ultimate, just like legitimate underdog story. They got there last year and everybody wrote them off. Notre Dame beat them, which is probably their kryptonite. But anyways, they wrote them off again this year. Even after they beat Oregon in the regular season, they were still like 7th in the country. They got moved up to like 4th maybe. They just kept winning out. And I feel like the only game that really woke everybody up was that Ohio State game, just because everybody thought Ohio State was untouchable. Jeremiah Smith, Julian Sand, the list goes on and on. That receiving core, the defense, and they beat them 13-10. And I feel like that was the game that kind of woke a lot of people up. But even this Indiana-Alabama game, like a lot of the analysts were like, "No, I'm taking Bama. SEC, it means more. It doesn't mean more. Clearly, go Hoosiers."
Yeah, and I think this is the first time all the SEC homers, including myself, I think I saw something about Feinbaum and Tebow and others saying it. There's been a changing of the guard. I'll admit, this is the Big Ten sport. They're going to have another third year in a row. They're going to have a team in the national championship. Mm-hmm. Third year in a row, they'll have a chance to win the national championship. They've quite frankly dominated the SEC during bowl season these past few years.
Well, not to mention the third year in a row they're having a team, but it's not Michigan or Ohio State. It's Indiana, bro.
Yeah, it's showing depth.
That's crazy. It's
showing depth. And I got in an argument with a friend of the show, Bo Allen, who was talking about the SEC is, I guess, not what it used to be. But I really feel like, as crazy as it sounds, the SEC is kind of all on the same playing field. It's more deep, but it's just way more average. There's no top dogs anymore. There's no Bama, Georgia, LSU. They're all just on the same level playing field.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's just, I feel like the whole reason that y'all were, it meant more back in the day, or y'all were so good, is because y'all were paying players before you could pay players. And I don't care. I don't have any facts to back that up. Everybody knows that who's a fan of the sport. SEC's been paying players for years before it got legal.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, as the great Charles Barkley once said.
Yeah.
Shoot, Auburn got a title off of that. Thank you, Cecil Newton. But nonetheless, this is the first year there's been complete because I feel like college football is the chalkiest sport on earth, right? You'll have.
Do you mean in the sense of like a good team plays a bad team, you already know the result? What do you mean?
Well, yes, but also when the season starts every year, I think the national champion, the majority of the time, is a top 10 team. I don't think any of these teams, except maybe Miami, were a top 10 team. Oregon was. But still, no one had in there. Everyone was like, okay, it's going to be Georgia, Penn State, Clemson, and Ohio State. And two of those teams completely fell apart. LSU was up there too.
LSU, they were
in the talks. So I think this has been a terrible year for pundits and predictions. And I guess I consider myself a pundit now, so another, terrible year for me as well.
I think we all are. My predictions just absolutely got butchered. Yours did too. The fact of the matter is you can come up with all the predictions you want, but you're never going to get it perfect. And, this is a sport that just – you never know. It's any given Saturday, just like it's any given Sunday in the NFL, man. It's amazing, and that's why it's the greatest sport in America, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But we can roll into some portal stuff.
Let's do it.
Today's my birthday, January 2nd, which is also the first day that the transfer portal is open. It's open from January 2nd to January 16th. This year, they passed a rule with the portal that you can transfer as many times as you want without penalty, which I think is insane. They obviously did away with the post-spring ball portal, which I think is the right move. But ultimately, I still think it's bad timing. I mean, there shouldn't be guys being able to hit the portal while there's still playoff games going on and stuff like that. I understand they have to do it for, like, academic purposes and, like, trying to get your credits transferred over to another school, whatever it may be. But I don't know if they need to move all of these games up a month and play the national championship game on New Year's Day or what, but they've got to figure out a way to fix this problem. And that's the reason the greats like Nick Saban have gotten out of the game, because he saw this come to fruition before it ever happened. And the NCAA has so much they have to figure out, because they just went from one side of the spectrum to the others. They went from, like, if you even like receive a gift card from a donor, you're blacklisted, right? And then now it's just like anything goes. So I don't know where the happy medium needs to be for the NCAA to figure it out, but the transfer portal dates or, the college football playoff dates, I don't know where they fix it, but something needs to happen, because this is just horrible timing all around for the coaches, guys hitting the portal, guys still playing in the portal, yada, yada, yada. They got to figure it out.
100%. And it's super odd that they kind of go blind to the word academics until it's, like, completely inconvenient for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there's no reason, like, even though if he were to leave, there's no reason Lane Kiffin obviously with the situation, he should not be coaching Ole Miss. But I do believe that decision should have been made after January 20th or whenever the national title is.
Yes.
Like how it is in basketball. It's just weird how, like, there's 6 LSU coaches on Ole Miss's staff currently. Is that not the biggest just tampering and, like, disgrace to the sport?
Yeah, they could absolutely throw the game if they wanted to. Now, I don't think that's any of their narratives or anything like that whatsoever, but, I mean, hypothetically speaking, they could 100% just throw that game. And, like, that's just – it's stupid. I mean, like, the committee's got to do better. The NCAA's got to do better. They've got to figure this out before a lot of people get too fed up with it, and you start losing great coaches, great minds, just great stuff all around about the sport. Like, it's going to go away faster than you can fix it if you don't fix it now.
I'm shocked we haven't seen more great college coaches take the jump to the NFL like Harbaugh did. I mean, obviously Harbaugh, I think, was going to be blacklisted from the NCAA for a couple of years. But, yeah. I mean, Marcus Freeman decided to stay. Back to the point, though, talking about the portal and the whole lore of it. Let me paint you a picture here. Obviously, it's not going to happen with Ole Miss and LSU being in the same conference. And you throw the idea of them throwing the game. These schools get money if a team from their conference goes to the national title and wins the national title, the rev share, all that stuff. Right. So let's say Lane Kiffin, hypothetically, were to take the Michigan job, and his staff at Ole Miss was coaching against Oregon. They would get more money for their program and for NIL if Oregon were to win rather than Ole Miss in their next job.
That's insane. Yeah, that's insane. And then I also saw another thing where since Ole Miss won that game against Georgia, LSU decided to, take in all of his incentives that he would have received at Ole Miss on his contract. So Lane Kiffin got paid out $500,000 because Ole Miss won a game, and he's not even the coach anymore. Like, that makes no sense. Something's got to get fixed, and this is all because of the transfer portal. This isn't because of anything else. This isn't because, a bad relationship with Ole Miss, whatever it may be. This is 100% because of the transfer portal, and I don't know how to fix it. So if any of y'all do, I'd love to hear y'all's opinions on it.
Yeah, comment below how you'd like to change it. I love what Calipari said about having like a one-time transfer and then the next time it being illegal. And also that, because these players, some of them, TJ Finley comes to mind, will have no ties to their school. And if you're not going pro, you're going to have to get another job. I mean, getting a job in the city of Lexington being a Kentucky football player takes you a long way. And they won't have the ties to the school as if someone were to play 4 years. But
and if, like, you walk out the door, like, just with any of those programs, like there might have been some donors who were willing to do a lot for you, like, outside of the sport. And then, like, say you go to, like, Auburn, if, like, say it was Alabama, like, they're not going to do anything for you. You know what I mean? So it's just, I understand you got to take care of yourself and what's best for yourself. If somebody's throwing you $500,000 and the school you're at now is only offering you, right at 6 figures, like, by all means, I would do the same thing. But the point I'm getting at is there's got to be more organization and, like, a better scheduling to this process. Because, like, I'm all about the portal. I think it's cool. It's like free agency in pro sports, but there's got to be some way to fix it going forward. But that's enough about our two masterminds getting put together trying to fix the problems. I want to address a couple players who've hit the portal today. Sam Levitt's obviously been in the portal. Brennan Sorsby, who's the number 1 overall player in the portal. I've seen Texas Tech is his crystal ball. I know his girlfriend plays volleyball there, so I think that one you can kind of go ahead and set in stone. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, what's this whole like no contact crap? Is that just a set in stone transfer?
No, I think basically what that means is they like say a school like Virginia Tech was reaching out to Sam Levitt, and he had already had a list of 5 schools that he was considering. Mm-hmm. I think what that means is if Virginia Tech wasn't on that list, then don't even contact him because he's not even giving the time of day. I think his agent will be the one to reach out to the hypothetical 5 schools he's interested in, and he'll go from there. So. Honestly, I think Sam Levitt, I know his name has been brought up with y'all today. That got reported by On3 as of earlier today. I think he has Lane Kiffin and LSU written all over him. I think he's the second coming of Jackson Dart. They play the exact same way. It's an athletic white guy who can sling the rock and got a little bit of swag to him. I think he would fit right in there with that whole Kiffin circus that he has go on. So I think Sam Levitt is through and through an LSU Tiger. I think Swarsby, who we talked about earlier, I could see him going to Tech because of, his ties there. Isaac Brown from Louisville is the number 1 rated running back in the portal. I read on 24/7 Sports, Texas is probably his crystal ball. I tend to believe that just because I know Texas tried to go out and get Chris Bell last year from Louisville, and he decided to stay loyal to the university, which hats off to you, Chris Bell. I hope you have a great career in the NFL. A couple other names, just DJ Lagway obviously has been in the portal, and Josh Hoover from TCU. I've seen that he's probably going to go to Indiana, and to be quite honest, they could probably pick me up as quarterback, and they'd win a national championship with how good Indiana prepares their guys and stuff like that. So those are just a few names to mention that have hit the portal over the last week and today, and we'll be posting graphics and stuff like that on the Instagram and TikTok to keep y'all updated about who is entering the portal and where they have committed.
Just a couple portal merchants, but you mentioned Isaac Brown, the possibility of him going to Texas. I mean, if they land Cam Coleman and him to throw with Arch Manning, that is probably the scariest offense in college football in the past 5 years.
Yeah, Isaac Brown is an absolute beast. He's so elusive. He's fast. I mean, I think he is, obviously this is bias because I've got to watch him play the last 2 years, but I think he is hands down the best running back in college football. But on the other hand, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. If they do get Cam Coleman and they do get Isaac Brown and they're going to beef up that O-line with a bunch of Texas boys, I mean, then the sole reason they don't win has to be Arch Manning. I mean, they have put and surrounded him with the greatest pieces in the sport, and if he can't get it done next year, then I don't know about him. I don't know about him. And with all due respect, I know he's got a lot of hype to his name and what he comes from and who he is, and I can't imagine having that much pressure on me as a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, but you're going on your 3rd, 4th year in college football, man. You got to produce. They're setting you up with guys around you. Go get it done if that's the case. So,
and you know me. I'm an advocate of Texas hatred. I think what they've done to the college game, because the whole conference realignment and what college sports is today is because of them with the Longhorn Network somewhat 15 years ago, and then now moving to the SEC, causing the Big Ten to add Oregon and stuff. So I hate Texas. I absolutely hate Texas. Lived in Austin for a year. I think their fan base are absolutely frauds. I think they're the most fraudulent. They're an Instagram fan base. What they do is so annoying. They think they're Barbie, but they're actually like Lizzo. I am so fed up with the whole Texas glamour and all that crap. But besides the fact,
Bo like that one. Bo's laughing at that one.
But yes, Texas. Where was I going? Oh yeah, Arch Manning. Mm-hmm. He balled out these last couple games. Killed it in the bowl game. Played great in the second half against A&M.
Didn't they still lose to Michigan?
They won.
Texas won?
Yeah, they won. They won pretty thoroughly.
Okay, all right. Just making sure.
Yeah. No, they won.
That was a legitimate question. I wouldn't test
100%.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they won, and Arch played very well. I mean, he is athletic, man. He is nothing like his uncles. I mean, he has the same Manning demeanor. Like when they paint, it's very similar to. He looks a lot like Eli. I think he's got the Manning confused face, got the Manning archetype, but he's just got some wheels that you would not expect.
I guess Coop was an athlete secretly.
Yeah.
I know he got hurt when he was younger, so he probably obviously didn't make it like his brothers did, but all that, the whole family's athletes. All those guys are athletes.
Yeah, but God, dude, Texas is who's your fan base that not necessarily a rival, but you kind of find super annoying.
Clemson.
Clemson?
I think Clemson's a cult. They do some really weird stuff that I know of. I know Barstool's talked about that on their podcast, but I think Dabo's just kind of a goober, and I can't even say too much because they've won 2 national championships. But just the fact that they returned the most guys from last year, and it was just hoorah, hoorah, hoorah. We're gonna get it done. We've got the most returning starters. We made it to the playoffs last year. Cade Klubnik's going to win the Heisman, and then just the fact they won 7 games. Like, I think the trajectory of Clemson football is on the decline, and that's probably my least favorite fan base just because my team is in the ACC.
No Duke basketball? Or are they too bandwagon for your
I mean, I hate Duke. I hope we beat them when we play them on Monday or Tuesday next week, and I hope we beat them. Michael Brown, you better fix your back problem, bro. We need you back.
You know who else is sneaky brutal?
Who's that?
As a fan base? Is like all the Big Ten schools that like you wouldn't expect. Like I'll see Iowa, Illinois. Like they're just always active on that app and just kind of come out of the blue, especially when you see like some on-3 graphics that kind of compare. And it's mainly more of a basketball thing.
I'm going to say one thing about Illinois. My brother lives in Illinois. He lives in Springfield. It's not that far from Champaign. I don't know anybody in the state of Illinois that is an actual fan of the Fighting Illini. I swear. I don't know who they root for. I don't know who y'all root for in the state of Illinois.
Chicago Bears.
I swear
Chicago
to you,
Bulls.
it's like Chicago Bears and the Cubs baseball. Nobody gives a shit about the Illini. And then, like, when they beat Tennessee in the Music City Bowl, y'all are like, hell yeah. Like, bandwagons, straight bandwagons. There's no sense to the rough times and the good times. It's just only the good times. When they're good, you're like, woohoo.
Another brutal demographic of fans are the Big East basketball ones. I love their passion, but like UConn, they're just cruel. They're just vile.
Honestly, I don't know much about the North. I mean, obviously Louisville used to be in the Big East, so like I'm familiar with like Syracuse and like all those other fan bases. But as far as like UConn today, they have every right to. I mean, they've won 6 national championships since '99. Like they have every right to be dickheads if they want. So,
I mean, I'm kind of sounding like a hypocrite here because I know that probably the 2 most annoying fan bases on Twitter in the SEC are Kentucky and Auburn.
I was about to say, dude,
hands down. I think like even I get annoyed sometimes reading some of the stuff from those 2 men. They're just Big Blue Nation is obnoxious. A little bit insecure of a fan base too. I mean, I am. Say something demeaning about Kentucky, I'm responding.
I don't know. It kind of seems like we're starting to gravitate towards college basketball talks.
I can feel the shift.
So I want to go ahead. I mean, conference schedules are starting to start up. It's January. I'd like to talk to you about just like some of your conference standing projections as far as maybe the SEC, and then I'll give you my ACC, and then we can kind of come together on the Big 10 and Big 12.
Let's do it. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how brutal Arkansas fans are on social media ever since they got Cal. Because they got the annoying demographic of Kentucky people that were like Cal first. Like, I can't believe that's a thing. They're now Arkansas people. But back to the point, I think Arkansas will win the SEC this year. I've really been impressed with them. And every great Cal team kind of, lets one slip or 2 in the non-conference play and then finds their groove around February ahead of a all-time March collapse. So I do believe this Arkansas team, off of pure talent and athleticism in a relatively weak SEC year, will take the crown. And then at number 2, I do think Florida's going to turn it around. I think they will be solid at number 2. I mean, they just got championship blood in them. I think Boogie Flan and Lee, by this point in the year, is going to figure it out. And then 3rd, I'll go the Crimson Tide of Alabama. They're well coached. Obviously, we know Nate Oates and very fast, fun to watch. Got, I think, the best backcourt in the SEC in Aiden Holloway and LeBaron Philon, and they will be at number 3. And then 4, I'm going to go with the Cats. I think Quentin's is going to turn this ship around. We saw what happened against St. John's. Brand new club. I mean, especially if Jalen Lowe's healthy, just a whole lot of bodies out there thrown at the glass. If Kentucky, I think it will be the best rebounding team in the SEC. It's just whether or not they can score. And then at number 5, I'm going to go Vandy. I mean,
I was waiting on Vandy because they're still undefeated.
Yep.
And, there's a lot of hype around them. They're ranked high right now. I just didn't know how you were feeling about them. And Georgia as well. Georgia's very high this year right now.
I don't know if you've seen this in years past with SEC teams that come out undefeated that aren't necessarily like your cream of the crop.
Typical, yeah.
They sort of teeter off. But the first team that comes to mind is Ole Miss, Chris Beard's first year when they had Alan Flanagan. They started off 14-0, played no one, and then didn't make the tournament. I mean, I think this is going to be one of those teams. Tennessee is also a team to throw out there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really not 100% sold on Tennessee, even though they've been pretty good in non-con play. I don't know why I'm not sold on them. Is it just...
I mean, I feel like as long as Rick Barnes is there, he's going to put a good team on the court. But the only reason I'm like questioning what you just said about how some of those teams fall off is because you already mentioned yourself earlier that the SEC is a little bit weaker this year. So I just didn't know if you thought maybe Vandy or Georgia actually stood a legitimate chance come conference tournament time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the SEC it's been the most wide open conference in basketball for 4 years, and I think this year it stays the same. I mean, anyone has a chance to win the conference tournament. It's just night in, night out, who's going to have their team ready to play. And I think in the conference, I mean, just from his Kentucky days alone, Cal's won the most regular season titles. I think Oates is up there too. Obviously, Golden's a proven winner. And then the team I'm completely out on is Auburn, unfortunately. I have not been impressed.
You don't have faith in the Nepo hire?
I do. It's just I think Steve kind of left his pride and joy with a roster that's a little questionable. It's a token like Auburn fall off year. Like after Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler left, it was a hodgepodge of like small guards and just random players. And I think this team's very similar to that. When like out at the Wendell Green, Jasper club. But yeah, it's just kind of a sporadic bunch and really no like. I don't know. They're just not a well put together team.
Okay, so to sum it up, you've got Arkansas, Florida,
Yes.
Alabama,
Yes.
UK, and Vandy.
Correct.
It's a solid top 5. What is it, Bo? Oh, he's checking? All right.
He thought the Arkansas take was crazy. But all right, let's hear about the ACC because I think it's Duke's. I think every other conference besides the SEC is pretty chalk. Michigan, Arizona, Duke.
Yeah, I agree. Those are actually my top 3 in all those conferences. Unfortunately, I do have the Blue Devils at 1 in the ACC. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. They've got arguably the number 1 pick in the draft and the Boozer. And I think Shire's a great coach, and I just think they're a great team all around. They played great in non-con, and I just don't see anybody in the ACC hurts my heart to say that, but I don't see anybody in the ACC really competing with them for the number 1 spot. I've got Louisville at the 2. I think we have a well-rounded roster. We took some tough losses in non-con play to some SEC opponents, so I feel pretty comfortable going forward just as far as road games and stuff like that. I think they will improve. We need Michael Brown to get back. That 3 spot, I have Carolina. They got Seth Trimble back, and they look a lot better now that he's back, even though they never really looked bad from the get-go. Caleb Wilson's obviously one of the top freshmen in the country. And I feel as if, they'll be in that good spot at 3. And then after that, there's kind of a big fall off in my opinion. I think Virginia will be there. I think Virginia Tech will be there. Virginia Tech already beat Virginia. NC State's there, and then Miami as well. I think, you could pick the litter of those 4 to fill in those 4 and 5 spots, so I'm a little unaware. I'm going to go with NC State, and I think Virginia Tech will ultimately get the 5 seed. They've got a really good freshman. I can't remember his name. He's a European guy. I couldn't even pronounce it if I wanted to. But those are my top 5 in the ACC.
Yeah. You know way more ACC than I do. I can't. The ACC is just such a random conference now.
Yeah, it is.
There's just all these weird teams. Like, it's Cal and Syracuse.
Well, ever since you said I should go to Cal for one of those games, like when they play Louisville, I've been really considering it. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And I believe they play Cal next year in football, so that might be a spot for me to go.
Yeah.
Might take a trip out to Berkeley.
Yeah, well,
You want to get into the Big Ten?
Yeah.
All right. So for mine, I've got Michigan. I mean, I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory too. Lindenborg, Dusty May's a great coach. The team that they put around those guys is great. And, I mean, quite frankly, they've been beating the shit out of everybody they played, ranked opponent or not ranked opponent. I think Purdue is that number 2 team. I feel like them and Michigan State are kind of interchangeable for that 2 and 3 spot. Izzo has a really good squad, but I think Matt Painter and the guard, what's his name, Carson Edwards? No, what's his name? Braden Smith. And Trey Kaufman-Wren and all those guys. I feel like they've just played together for so long that they should be arguably that 1 or 2 spot. And then I've got Illinois with the European roster, the whole European team. I think they're good. And then that 5 spot, I'm going to put Nebraska ball.
Yeah, they're probably going to be the Big Ten version of the hot start SEC bunch that kind of dwindles out come conference play. And another thing to add on to that is it's because when you're a top dog like that and ranked, especially when you're not used to it and the spotlight's on you on the road, that's why I always lean in college basketball for the regular season towards the Blue Bloods, because they experience it night in, night out of going on the road. It's whiteout night. It's T-shirt night. They know that's what they signed up for. When you go to Nebraska or Vandy and then you walk into, alumni or where Memorial Gym in Indiana and it's a whiteout, you're like, the lights are too bright. Right. You're not used to that atmosphere. So I agree with you in terms of Michigan. Purdue, I think, is incredibly fraudulent. They're not athletic. Braden Smith is a great player, but is he a guy that can win you a national championship? They got there, but they had Edey. He was their guy. I'm not sold on Purdue at all.
Okay. So who's your top 5?
In the Big Ten?
Yeah.
I always lean, again, coaches and programs, Michigan State. I mean, I would put probably Purdue at the 4 or 5. I agree with you at Illinois at the 3. And then go someone super random at the 5, right? Where's UCLA been? I've not watched that much Big Ten.
I consider them as well. They're actually pretty good. They lost to Cal, which was kind of a bad loss. Cal has a good record, but they haven't played anybody. Mick Cronin's a good coach, though, so that kind of goes back to your point of good coach.
USC has some bucket getters. I kind of respect Chad Baker-Mazara. I don't know how good they've done, but
no,
they get some characters out in the Big Ten now. I'm thinking about it.
Musselman's put a good team together, and Chad Baker-Mazara's been balling, so that wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah.
And then we can roll into this Big 12. I feel like this one is an interesting one just because there's so many good teams in the Big 12. Tommy Lloyd and those guys at Arizona, I'm going to put it 1. They've proven it time and time again. They win the big games. Non-con schedule was tough, and they won all those games. So I like them to finish 1, which is kind of 1A and 1B, if you will. But I think Houston's respectfully in that 2 spot. I love Kelvin Sampson and the players that play for him. They play with so much heart. They're a great program. I can see them at 2. Iowa State has been balling as well. I want to put them at the 3. And then those guys out in BYU, they're good, man. They're good.
I was about to say.
Yeah, they're great. And they will finish top 5 in the Big 12. And then my 5 spot, it's hard to go against Bill Self, man.
Yeah, I was about to say Rock Chalk. And it's still going to be a very disappointing year for them. And I stand by my take from the first episode that this is Bill Self's last year as a college basketball coach.
Yeah, I could see him being out the door. He's an old head, so he's probably in the same boat as like Saban and all these other guys who just don't like the way that the sport's evolved. So I could definitely see that. But ultimately, they've got Patterson. They've got a good team. They'll finish top 5 in the Big 12, and I think that they will probably make a run in March if everybody's healthy.
Yeah, and I feel like in college basketball we've seen the past few years like a random coach retire, like Tony Bennett, Bruce Pearl, just out of the blue. And all signs are pointing towards Self maybe. If they were to get Tyron Stokes, then I would obviously be like, okay, he's not going to retire. But
they still got guys. Like, they got Taylor Kinney. They've got a few other guys who are top 20 guys.
Is that enough for you to want to come back? If you get the number 1 player in the country, yeah, you're going to not retire. But they've been pretty underwhelming for 2 straight years. This year, they're 5 seed. I mean, they're nothing like the Kansas that we saw when they won the national championship. And also, hope he's doing a lot better. I know Bill Self has had some off the court health issues too, which is definitely a big factor in terms of that. So, I mean, it's just also, and what else does he have to prove? He's the most successful, probably besides Rick Pitino, the most successful coach in college basketball right now. It has 2 non-vacated championships.
Absolutely. Yeah, vacated. Get the fuck out of here. All right, guys. Well,
yeah,
I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my birthday. One last promo. Just like, subscribe, comment, follow, all of it. Thank y'all for tuning in for the 3rd episode, and I hope everybody had a happy New Year and a Merry Christmas.